Hello, welcome to this video on Johansson Reading 19. Let me just call up the text for you. Here we are. And you'll find this Bickerbordy page 80 of his page 580, section 43.3. Last paragraph of his translation of the Samyutta Nikaya, as well, of course, as the translation given by Rune Johansson in his book. Katamocha bhikkhave dukkhassa attangamo chakkuncha paticha rupecha uppajjati chakku vinyanam kinnam sangati passo passa pacchaya vedana vedana pacchaya tanha tasayeva tanhaya asesa viraga nirodha upadana nirodho upadana nirodha bhava nirodho bhava nirodha jati nirodho jati nirodha jaram maranam soka parideva dukkado manasupayasa nirujjanti evam etassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa nirodho hoti ayam dukkhassa attangamo. Katamocha bhikkhave dukkhassa attangamo. So attangamo, the cessation. It's from an ending, attangamo. The atta, Sanskrit artha, meaning the goal. And in this sense, the attangama, the ceasing, it's the reaching one's destination, reaching one's goal, or therefore coming to an end. It suggests here that the destination of dukkha is its own ending. Another possible interpretation is that asta, meaning sitting, the asta, the sitting of the sun, the setting of the sun, the astangama in Sanskrit, which also turn out as attangama. But whether that is true or not is difficult to say. It's not impossible. But anyway, just treat it as getting to its atta, to its goal, or to its ending, the attangama. What is the end of suffering? And katamocha, what is it? Masculine there, because attangamo, gamo is a masculine noun. So what, O monks, is the ending of suffering? So chakkuncha paticha rupecha uppajjati chakku vinyanam. Let's put a hyphen here. Chakku vinyanam, eye consciousness. In the previous reading we had akshi in the combining form aksha or akka, meaning eye. This chakku in Sanskrit, chakshu, is a completely different word. So chakku, also meaning eye, chakku vinyanam, eye consciousness. So uppajjati chakku vinyanam, eye consciousness arises. Paticca, in reliance on, remember paticca samuppada, dependent origination, dependent co-origination. So chakkuncha paticca rupecha, so paticca in reliance on or independence on chakkuncha, I, rupecha, and forms. Rupe, accusative plural, so independence on, in reliance on, dependent on the I and forms, chakkuncha rupecha uppajjati chakku vinyanam. The chakku vinyanam, eye consciousness, arises. Tinnam sangati passo. Passo, Sanskrit sparsha, means contact. Tinnam is the genitive plural. Trinam in Sanskrit. Tindam means of the three. It's a genitive plural. Numbers decline in not all of them, but this is one of the ones that does. So of the three, sangati, the gati, the going, sangati, going together, the confluence, the coming together, the sangati, tindam of the three is passo. That is the I forms and I consciousness. When you get those three things together, happening together, the chakku, the rupa, the forms, and the chakku vinyanam, then tindam sangati, the coming together of those three, passo is contact. So passa pachaya vedana, let's put a hyphen in here. Pachaya, dependence or reliance of conditioning. So Vedana, the sensation, is pasapachaya, literally from the contact condition. So conditioned upon contact. So Vedana cannot happen without a passa. Sensation cannot happen without a contact. And so Vedana arises pasapachaya, dependent upon, in reliance upon passa, contact. And similarly with the pachaya, which we have several times, Vedana pachaya, tanha, commonly translated as craving. Literal meaning is thirst. Let me just bring up my iPad here. So I think you have this already. That it's Trishna, Pali, Tanha. Trishna is actually cognate with the modern English word thirst. It's the same word. I mean, it literally means thirst in the ordinary physical sense. Tanha, craving. So Vedana Pachaya, from the Vedana conditional, in reliance on, conditioned by, or having Vedana as a condition, a precondition, Tanha, thirst. Tasayeva Tanhaya, Asesa Viraga Nirodha, Upadana Nirodho. Right. Nirodha is cessation. If something ceases, it is nirujhati, from the same root. I'll just look at this right now. The root is rud. It is a fifth class verb. Slightly awkward, this one, as you've got your wits about you. What happens here, with this class, you put in a na in the middle of the root, after the first vowel of the root. So rud, runad, and you add the verb ending directly on it, it's runad ti. However, you can't have a d. What happens? Runadhi, and of course that R becomes subdotted. That's how from rud you get runadhi. However, that's the more complex Sanskrit form of it. Pali is much simpler. It just adds in an N, but rud, rundhati. So this is the Pali form. The nirud means to ni, in or down. Rud means basically to block or constrain, to keep something in, prevent. Nirud is to block down. to suppress it, to stop it, nirud, and that is a transitive verb. If you make it passive, something is blocked down. In Sanskrit, it is regular passive, nirudhyate, nirudhyate, and that accounts for the Pali, nirujhati, and that is where you get the nirujhanti that I've highlighted there. So the verbal noun, nirud, nirodha, nirodho, nominative, same in Sanskrit and Pali then. So from the nirodha, what nirodha? The asesa viraga nirodha. The asesa, remainderless, with nothing left over. Asesa means remainder or something left over. Asesa, remainderless. Viraga, freedom from passion, from raga, desire. So asesa viraga nirodha, from the remainderless, passion-freeing, and nirodha, and cessation. So viraga nirodha looks like these two together look like a dvandva compound. Freedom from passion, dispassion, and cessation. Then make that into a further karmadharya adjectival compound, the asesa viraga nirodha, from the remainderless, dispassion and cessation. Of what? Of tasa eva tanhaya. This is the genitive form. Tasa eva, that very craving. And this y here is simply euphonic. Tasa eva, tasayeva. It has no grammatical function. So, tasayeva tanhaya, of that very craving, asesa viraga nirodha. Now again, this is the ablative. So from the remainderless, dispassion and cessation, tasayeva tanhaya, of that very tanha. Here we are, tasayeva tanhaya, asesa viraga nirodha, upadana nirodho, arises or is, ablative, nominative, from that cessation is this cessation, nirodho, what? The upadana nirodho, the clinging cessation. Now, upadana, the root da, to give, dana, giving. Adana, this is one of those verbs where the a reverses the direction. Gum, to go, agam, to come. Da, to give, ada, to take or to receive. Now the upa-adana, which then becomes upadana, is you're taking it up to yourself. Won't let it go. Adana, upadana. The idea of the clinging to it, you're holding on to it. That is you can almost act this word out. Upadana, it's mine, all mine, I want it. Upadana. So it's the upadana nirodho, is the cessation of upadana, this clinging. Upadana nirodha, bhava nirodho. So from the upadana nirodha, from the cessation of clinging, bhava nirodho. Again, nirodha ablative, from the cessation of clinging, is the bhava nirodho, the cessation of being. Bhava, being, but often used in the sense of rebirth, coming into being again. That can be disambiguated by having punarbhava in Sanskrit, punarbhava in Pali. So is it the cessation of rebirth or the cessation of being? So upadana nirodha, bhava nirodho. So bhava nirodha, from the cessation of being, jati nirodho is the cessation of birth. Jati nirodha, from birth cessation, from the cessation of birth. Jara, marana, soka, parideva, dukkado, manastupayasa, nirujhanti. Actually, there's a mistake in the text here. It should be jaya, marana. It's all one long compound. Corrected. Jara, marana, soka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, upayasa, domanasupayasa, nirujhanti. So, jati nirodha, from the cessation of birth, nirujhanti, they cease, all these various things cease. Jara, marana, soka, parideva, dukkha, domanasupayasa. Put in the plural because it is a dvandva compound with a number of elements ending in a masculine noun, so that it goes, you put it in the plural, even though there may be only one upayasa. However, it's also possible that the reason for this plural is not because it's a singular final member of a dvandva compound, but because it's meant to be a plural on its own, even on its own. Both are possible. And it doesn't in reality make much of a difference, because upayasa you could mean as a generic trouble, torment, or as a plural, troubles, thinking of individual troubles and torments, upayasa. Either is perfectly valid. So, jati nirodha, from the cessation of jati, birth, all of these things cease, nirujhanti. Sanskrit nirudhyante, nirujhanti what? Jara, old age or decay, cognate with the Greek geros, old. Our word geriatrics, gerontology, the geriatrics, medicine for the old. Marana, dying. Soka, general word meaning grief. In Sanskrit, shoka, and the emperor Ashoka, the griefless, the one who was without grief. Parideva, from a div, nothing to do with deva as in a divine being, a god, a shining being. Paridevas from a different root, coincidentally looks the same. It just means wailing, lamentation. Dukkha, we know. Domanassa. Durmanas, in Sanskrit, bad mind, state of sadness or grief, unhappiness. Durmanas, and the abstract form daurmanasya. Let me give you this. So, durmanas. Meaning bad-minded, means you're in an unhappy state of mind. How does he translate it here? Anguish, just a bad state of mind, durmanas. And we make, that's an adjective. And we can make the abstract noun as a vriddhi derivative. So we make vriddhi of the first vowel and add ya. So this is in Sanskrit now. Daurmanasya. Daurmanasya. We would expect this then to become in Pali Dummanasa, but in fact is written with just one M. So domanassa. That means the state of being durmanas, the state of being bad-minded, in anguish, mental anguish. Jara marana soka parideva dukkha domanassa upayasa. Upayasa. I've done a note on it. The root yes originally meant frothing in Vedic, and then in Sanskrit came to mean exertion, and then with the prefix ayasyati, exerting yourself, and ayasayati is to give somebody else grief or trouble or strife. This meaning of the prefix verbal prefix that sometimes is used to convey the sense of like hostility, aggression, basically doing something nasty to somebody. Ayasa. Now, upayati, upa-ayasa, giving grief. And this, then with a further verbal prefix, upa, not attested in Sanskrit, at least not in Monier Williams, but it is in Pali. And it conveys to me the idea of all these trouble and strife, all upa-ayasa, all kind of coming at you, overwhelming you. You're getting overwhelmed with trouble and strife and grief just coming at you. That's how I interpret that word, upayasa. So all of these things, nirujhanti, this jara, marana, soka, parideva, dukkha, domanassa, upayasa, or upayasa, nirujhanti, they cease. Evam, thus, in that way, that's how it happens. Etassa, of this. Kevala means entire or whole. So of this entire dukkha kandhasa, nirodho hoti. Evam, thus, nirodho hoti, there is an end of etassa kevalasa, of this entire dukkha kandhasa, grief heap, pile of dukkha. Again, I've done a note on this. So dukkha, in Sanskrit, it's a skandha. Originally meant a shoulder, actually, then just means a pile or a heap of something. You've got the 5 skandhas. The kandha, panchakandha. It's a kandha, ska, becomes a ka in Pali, kandha. But because it was originally a consonant cluster, it's a simple single consonant. Remember, k is a single consonant. But it doubles after a preceding vowel in Pali, because Pali, as it were, has a residual consciousness that this wants to be a cluster, which is why you get the double k, dukkha kandhasa, etassa kevalasa, dukkha kandhasa. Thus, there is an end of this whole dukkha kandhasa, of this whole mass of suffering, this whole heap of suffering. So, evam, thus, sorry, oh yeah, evam dukkhassa attangamo. So this is the attangama. You can reaching its final point, its end point, you could say, going to its end point, the ending. This is the ending of suffering. So I'll read it through just once more. Katamocha bhikkhave dukkhassa attangamo chakkuncha paticha rupecha uppajjati chakkuvinyanam Tindam sangati passu, passa pachaya vedana, vedana pachaya tanha, tasayeva tanhaya asesa viraga nirodha, upadana nirodho, upadana nirodha, bhava nirodho, Bhavanirodha jati nirodho. Jati nirodha jara marana soka parideva dukkado manasupayasa nirujhanti. Evam etassa kevalassa dukkha kandhassa nirodho hoti. Ayam dukkhassa attangamo. That concludes reading 19.